All right, well, it is 6:30. I would like to call this meeting to order. Finance Committee, Monday, January 20th, 2025. Roll call. Karsta Erickson, Alderwoman Erickson. Alderman Kreinbrink is absent. And Johnson is present. Also present, we have City Administrator Jeff Penman. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, we'll just start with a review of our semi-monthly bills. Quite a hefty sum this week. And I'm going to start and let the floor open up with Karsta if you have any questions.
I do. Give me just one moment. All right, one of the first ones you and I had talked about, just wanted to make sure it was on the paperwork, is Kevin Fernandez's mileage. I didn't realize we were paying him mileage, so.
Well, he's got to drive his own vehicle, so
Did Christie ever turn that in to do?
I don't think she did, no.
So that one was a red flag for me. I didn't know we did that for him, so. Then the other one, which we spoke about, was the ideal fence repair.
Mm-hmm.
$700 out of our pocket because it was a hit and run.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the big ones that just chaps me is the Foster Buick one. Why we are paying nearly $2,000 for somebody to look over, or $1,000 for somebody to look over minutes and agendas, and we never really had to do that before. And almost $2,000 on just FOIAs and the OMAs. So it's like $4,000 right
Yeah,
there.
actually, Jeff, we were hoping you might be able to speak to that because I don't know when that really started.
Well, I will tell you, I don't know what it is about minutes, but I know that when it comes to doing the agenda, I do have to have a conversation with her about different things that are coming up. I mean, for instance, tonight
Well, I
with the
understand, but
different
she has
things.
to approve the agenda, so that's what I don't understand. Why is she approving anything like that? I mean, we've never had that before.
Well, my discussion with her is more about wording, if things are in the right place and those types of things, so.
$1,000 worth?
I don't know what period of time that was for necessarily. I don't know if she did have conversations with Denise as well or not, but I know I do talk to her usually an hour or two a week, just trying to make sure that things are in order on those things, just so we know what we're gonna handle. And whether that's things for the open agenda or if that's for closed session or what have you, there's a lot of times I do have to run things through with her.
Okay.
Jeff, I'm pretty sure our attorney has always handled the FOIAs, correct? I mean, I know that Denise and the staff pulls all the information, and then she has to make sure everything is
That's the
in.
way it's been. I mean, especially since they've gotten more complicated. I mean, I
we
think
go.
before when they were very, pardon me?
I said, yeah, there you go. Before
I
they got
really think as they've
complicated.
gotten more complicated, we're trying to make sure that we're doing due diligence in that we have everything together and that it can be, put out as quickly and efficiently as possible. We're not doing a great job with it. I mean, there's better ways to do it. But, their software program is a bit better than ours sometimes in being able to filter through things while we're trying to filter through emails to get stuff. Stuff is getting missed sometimes. So they can go back and look at some of the ordinances and things that we have that are a little easier to find that way. But yes, the way it has worked is that we'll put everything together. A lot of it goes to Cassandra. She looks through it, reviews it, makes sure that if it needs to be redacted or anything, she's the one who's making the recommendations on that.
I guess what brought it to my attention really is because we're paying like 3 people to do the same job.
Yep. At least.
We need to save more money that way. I mean, this is ridiculous.
It's a significant thing. Well, and a big part of that, I'm sure, is the PAC. That was an expensive process. I had many hours in that myself.
I think we need to talk to the mayor and we need to talk to the attorney and find out what we can give on some of this because we're paying 3 people to do the same job.
Well, we
Pretty
have to
much
put
same
it,
job.
well,
I mean, we've got a
everybody has
legal
to put
person saying-
everybody has to put their information in.
Right.
So everybody has to go through it once, and then it has to be, you know, filtered through and figured out what needs to be redacted or what doesn't, and what's the appropriate response on it.
I'm going to say, with a small town like this, we don't have a big staff, and with all the FOIAs that come in,
I'm not so worried
the
about
hours
FOIAs as
that,
I am
I've
about-
already inquired about this many times, because the hours that they're putting in is ridiculous.
Oh, I agree. I don't, it's not even the FOIAs as much as I am about the agendas and minutes. I mean, I don't,
And that's probably me then, because I do ask those questions to try and make sure that we've got the appropriate things on the agenda, that it's on there correctly, so that we're able to get through our meetings efficiently.
Okay.
and then I just had the other one on there, that I know someone else had asked me about was the badges. And that was just because it was two people that didn't have the breast cancer awareness ones.
Okay.
So, yeah, and it was in their budget, I'm sure, so that we looked up over there.
All right. All right, my issues, of course, well, they're minor, but I was missing a receipt from our postmaster, and I'm pretty sure we can get those online. I don't know.
Right, and when I did speak to the chief, that wasn't Christmas cards, that was just they hadn't bought stamps all year, so they were just
10
replenishing
rolls
it.
of stamps.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I also, of course, was curious about our Illinois Department of Transportation, over $1 million. That's
That
a
was
big
my-
ouch.
That was my last question. I was gonna ask, so.
All three of the charges on that bill are all from capital improvements. So the money is in there and has been in there, set aside for these projects. They just all are being paid at once. So $1 million, you know. But
Well, this is, what it
spread
is
out,
is,
water
yeah.
reserve, motor fuel budget, and the sewer reserve is where they're coming from.
But
Can you speak to this at all?
Sure. I mean, this is the Latham Street project.
Right.
At 80%, they invoice you for the project, for what they believe at that point in time. A portion of that was for the work that was done on the water system, so that's why it would have come out of there. Some of it was for the sewer system. And the rest of it was out of our motor fuel tax fund, which it was actually Rebuild Illinois money. That amount is how much we were allocated in Rebuild Illinois money. There was a deadline that needed to be spent by. So that's the reason that that's all coming out at once. Now, this is not the complete amount for the project. It's just, it could take, they're telling us at least 2+ years before they'll probably be able to give us any kind of a final assessment and bill on this. So we need to make sure that we get as close as we can so that we're budgeting in that and holding it going forward. So it's encumbered.
Yep. All right, well, I also had ideal fence on my list, and that's been addressed. Was not attached to any other accident or anything like that, so. Were there any other questions, Karsta?
There was, I can't find the thing right this minute. There was, but. It's all right.
Well, let's move forward into unfinished business. Fred's not here, of course, and we have our discussion of procurement policy, which we were working on diligently last year at this
Correct.
time, right before budget. Do you have anything you
Well,
want
I just put it back on here because initially there were two parts to the procurement policy. There was the part that we passed in December of 2023. And then there was the second part, which had to do with bidding and how we go through the process and things like that. At that point in time, we had a draft copy, but we had kind of broken it into two pieces. And it was just, I wanted to remind the committee that we wanted to go back and look at that and make sure that we can get those things in place.
Okay. I think for the benefit of all of us, we should probably bring a copy for each of us for the next meeting.
Yep.
Actually, as soon as that can go out so we can review it before we come back, yeah? All right. Audit update, Jeff?
Just, we have a draft of the audit. They're still working on putting the final into it, so it's got a ways to go, but it's moving.
All right. New business, hopefully you were able to look at the minutes from January 20th that Fred set out.
Yes,
Would you like to make a motion to pass those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
I will second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. And my favorite topic, the discussion of the new budget and the schedule. We have a tentative
We do. We-
timeline here.
We do have a tentative schedule. I am out of town from 2/7 till the 16th, so a couple of those dates don't work for me, but I was hoping we could talk with the group and see if we can figure out what dates would be good to get everybody together. Right now, we are moving along with the schedule. We're gonna try to talk to department heads next week on preliminary budgets, just internally, Wes and myself, Angie, and the department heads to kind of make sure that we're on target with where we're at with that. So we're continuing along. I think it's, right now, a couple dates that we had looked at was 2/22 and 2/26. I was hoping to talk to the group and see what we could come up with.
All right.
Well, I will make myself available, so
I mean,
I'm not sure I'm on the budget committee anymore. However, if you need me,
you're not on it anymore?
I've been making notes all year, so
Okay.
I'm happy to help.
Isn't anybody that's on the finance committee on the budget committee?
That's usually how we've done it, yes.
Yeah.
Nice
I had-
try.
I was sick and
I
had
was just gonna say,
conflicts
isn't
last
that how
year.
it goes? Okay, so we're looking at the 22nd or the,
And, yeah,
We did 2 last year.
right,
it's a long process. I mean,
Right,
truly.
right.
It is. I just don't want it to get away from us. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, the sooner we start, the better.
Correct.
And that usually starts with our department heads. So I'm
Yep.
guessing we're going to be doing a day where we're all in here, a
Yes.
Saturday. That
That's
would be
what
the
I'm thinking. So
22nd.
it'd probably be the 22nd is what we're looking at right now. So we need to make sure that everybody's good for that date.
Okay.
and that would be for everybody, not just the budget committee, right?
I
Everybody
believe we've
can
done
make
that
it,
with
yeah.
everybody kind of more as a bigger type discussion. If you guys want to do something ahead of that, maybe we could get together on like the 19th or something and just the budget committee could talk.
I can actually submit notes for what I've seen this past year.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Anything else before I move on? No? Audience comments? Sandra Kohler?
Is this thing on?
I don't know. Red button, green button?
But, okay, that's just a push button. Happy Inauguration Day. I
Yay.
gotta rub it
Sorry.
in. So, my questions fall back, and tomorrow I will be submitting 4 additional FOIAs, which I know you all hate to hear, but I'm gonna do one on the legal fees that we are paying. I did it once before, brought it to you guys' attention about the 8 times a day, someone is emailing or calling the attorney. I want to know what for. I want a more detailed explanation as to why anybody feels it's necessary to talk to that attorney an hour and a half a day. You can't have that many questions. Save your questions to the end of the day, send her a damn email, let her answer you. End of story. I looked back at the budget versus actual with the attorney with Then I turned the dang page like I shouldn't have done. On the attorney fees, like budgeting and actual usage, 3,000, and now we're like insanely high. We're that every 2 weeks to a month. We're at 7,000, 6,000, and that's not including the court cases. That's separate in the paperwork, because those are spelled out with the streets that she's supposedly going to court on, which we never see any results on. But it's cost us, again, on this one, oh man, never close a book. 18,000 for 1 month of her going to court, but we never see any results. We never see none. We saw one on Dennis's property, but nothing's being done with Dennis's property. It's still a crap hole. There's one no trespassing sign on the whole property. No tape like she said that night. I went immediately up there. There's no yellow tape around that property. People go in there. I've seen somebody go in there. It wasn't Dennis, so I don't know who's going in and accessing his property. 19,000 is what it was for claims for property work that she's doing, and 1,400 for this and that. Now, the FOIAs, up until a few of us that want to change city government got involved, she never read a FOIA unless it was on something that we were in litigation over. Then she addressed a FOIA. Now she's addressing FOIAs on how much did you get paid? How much is this? How much is that? That is not any legal standing for her to be looking at. It's in the computer. Open it up, print it out, and give it to us. But on one FOIA that I personally did, there were 18 calls or emails to the attorney, and all of it was in the computer. None of it was blacked out except for the names of the people involved, which Jeff, being the city administrator, should know that you would black out the names. That does not take a $1,400 bill from the attorney to tell you to make it to take out the names of the people being sued. We all know that. It's just getting way out of hand, and things need to be looked at. I've also FOIA'd Kevin's, not you, Kevin. He looked at me like I was shooting him. I've also FOIA'd his record on how many code enforcements he's done, who, where, what, how, and what the results were. Because every time I see him, he's standing in the office over here, and I want an explanation for his miles. I am running for treasurer of Sandwich, which tried to be taken off the agenda. I don't know if there's a write-in. If there is, God help whoever it is. But I am going to run, and I am going to tighten every single solitary thing I can see that's being overexpended on. And if we're paying a city administrator over $100,000 a year, plus an assistant to him $56,000 a year, you'd think we could cut down the attorney fees a little bit and give the agenda back to Denise where it belongs. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else, public comment?
Thanks, folks. I know it's a small crowd, but I want to say a few things about this financial obligation. In a municipality of less than 8,000 people, I find it compelling that you'd have $19,000 in legal fees. And I find it also very puzzling that the administrator, no matter who sits in that desk, would need to have the lawyer babysit things like an agenda, because an agenda comes to the board. And then if the board doesn't agree with the agenda, or if they want to make a modification, they make a motion and they vote. So the damage is already done. If the agenda is going to be put in front of them, they're just going to make a modification if they don't agree with it, and they're going to vote, and then it'll be fixed, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is a FOIA. If the answer is black and white and not gray, then I don't see why this attorney should be meddling in our FOIAs. The FOIAs are supposed to be done at the level of we the people. So I'm not feeling like she's we the people here. I feel like she's taking money out of my hip pocket here. And again, you have the understanding that you do need legal representation. However, you do have every right to modify how much of that or how little of that you utilize every month. And so I would ask that not necessarily Ms. Gottschalk, but the entire Foster Buick firm be re-looked at and be a little bit of an understanding of where those monies are coming from, what agreements are in place. Is there something contractual that says we're gonna look at OMA stuff for $1,000 a month? Can that be renegotiated? You know, if there's something where the FOIAs, if you've got plan administrator who is seasoned in FOIAs, who's been educated in FOIAs, I assume a degree would have something to do with some classes about FOIAs and how to do a FOIA, then you would think that that individual would hold the reins on that. And then you wouldn't be going to an attorney outside of the city municipality elected officials to check his work. I mean, or her work for that matter. But I feel like we need to tighten up here, okay? And we're only a tiny little municipality. It seems like we're hemorrhaging money. I saw an $8,800 fee that goes along with the Latham Street thing, and we're paying it because we got into a limbo with the bill, and now we're paying this extra money. Who is on our side to negotiate this stuff and say, hey man, we're giving you a crap ton of work. Can you give us a break on this fee? Like, does anybody ever try to like whittle it down? Like, I'll go through my grocery bill and say, you know what, I got a half a thing of butter. I don't need that this week. I'll mark it off, do it next time. You know, let's start being very logical with our money, because fiduciarily, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it, okay? Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments for the Finance Committee? No, okay. Well, with that, I would like a motion to approve and send these bills to the council for approval.
I'll make that motion.
Is there anything you want to remove?
I mean, yeah, I'd like to remove a lot of that, but
We have the power to do that, so, I mean, this is,
no. I mean, yeah, I want to talk to her about those attorney fees. I really do. $4,000 or $5,000 in some of those things is absolutely ridiculous.
it's going to cost you to talk to her.
That's okay.
Just
I'll pay it
saying.
out of pocket if I have to.
Okay.
I think it's ridiculous.
All
I
right.
shouldn't have to pay her when she's sitting up there tonight, but
Well, can I get a motion to send these bills to council for approval?
I'll make that motion.
I will second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion.
I will second that. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.